say?
It's the RJB.
Every time they see us come, watch them demons shake.
Hey man, here you come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go.
Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say.
Hey, real talk, what you say around here too, man? Real
Cause
talk.
names hold weight. If you don't know about Father Rahai, cause names hold weight. And you don't know about his son Yeshai, cause names hold weight. Receive the gift of Rawakadah, cause names hold weight. Forever screaming, Kwam Yasharallah, cause names hold weight.
You ain't gotta tell me names whole way. I'm calling a higher, calling them out, kicking them tables over, just like Yeshaya. Digital download of the hard copy, man, them 2x2s. Some of these Hebrews be acting feminine, we call them 2 wonk fools. I'm laughing at them, same time wouldn't put it past them. I ain't trying to be the boys' favorite rapper. They only rap cause they Twitter popular. That's the difference between me and them. I'm the son of Jacob, they the son of sin. The rock open, so I'ma go on in. We don't go ham, but we go shim. I'll gut that bird, put his fur on. Great warrior like Gideon. I tell you the truth, do what you do. I can't judge you like Gideon. I get these boys from my album. Rock is my ghost rider, word Shami Allah. I'm ready for that war, you know I'm a rider. Left hand on my strap, right hand on my Bible, yeah. Every day I'm getting tested, but I don't fall, yes, that's progression. Got a whole list of do's and don'ts. Just have a seat, yeah, class a session. Praise the Father, yeah, that's a blessing. You can relate to somebody in the same stages. Yeah, I love them when the beat bang, but you know they hate it when we're due to make it, yeah.
Every time they see us come, watch them demons shake.
Hey man, here you come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go.
Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say.
Hey, real talk, what you say around here too, man? Real
Cause
talk.
names hold weight. If you don't know about Father Rahai, cause names hold weight. And you don't know about his son Yeshai, cause names hold weight. Receive the gift of Rawakadah, cause names hold weight. Forever screaming, Kwam Yasharallah, cause names hold weight.
Jake, mind what you telling me? Cause I sit through muddy water and I ain't buying no dreams. So you best watch what you selling me. Lou and Misery out the STL, I'm out the Triple D, but like we come from the same place. Cause if you stated, then you have to show me it like I come straight out that show me state. Our doctors best coordinate, our powers best correlate. And we live for your science, so if we inspire your son, who him gon' resuscitate? Real Judah, you ain't holy, but I still see through it. We all messing, you say recycling bin. The way you let him reuse ya. Try to walk my walk, cause the journey to the kingdom ain't is like a foot race. Try to use the fruits of the spirit, but then they be acting just like some fruit cakes. I turn my teeth for his name's sake, but brother, I only have 2 of them. So you best leave me alone for I smack principalities and vessels they be residing in. I take it for Christ, the highs and the lows. So that's the why she inspired my flow. I pray that I higher by having Messiah. They are my power, you already know. The way Jake's haters like we the star, but they got it all wrong. Show about the Father, Son, and the Spirit, man. If I'm super bro, shall this be my theme song?
Every time they see us come, watch them demons shake.
Hey man, here you come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go.
Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say.
Hey, real talk, what you say around here too, man?
What's up? Welcome. Real Talk 101 here on a Sunday afternoon from 6 to 8 p.m. here at the Vox Wave studio. Thank you for joining us once again. Something I don't usually do, but I'm going to do this because we've been meaning to do this for a while. The phone number here is 240-719-2560. Again, the phone number to the studio is 240-719-2560. If you got comments, you got questions, you want to call in, get your voice heard, that's the phone number to do it. If it's your first time joining us, what we usually do on this show is we talk about past experiences, revelations, testimonies, and grateful things that the Most High has done for us in the past week. We talk about things that we learned about in the Word, and we just chop it up, and we try to expose the devil, and we do expose the devil in every way, shape, or form through these conversations. As we usually start off with prayer requests, and testimonies come right after we have prayer. Prayer requests real quick for my family that's traveling. I think most of them have already left from Huntsville, Alabama to go home. They were down in Huntsville, Alabama burying one of my relatives this past weekend. My parents actually get back within an hour to DCA, so I'm praying, traveling mercies for them. I'm praying for a couple coworkers of mine who I realized I am selfish at one point. I have been trying to get away from my job and to go do what the Most High had me to do, earlier than ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And then when I started pressing that prayer, that's when I started seeing people at my job that I was started having spiritual conversations with. Mm-hmm. And that's when that happened, I was like, oh, okay. So I guess this is my assignment while I'm here, not only just to work, but to, let my light shine in the job space. So I'm praying for a couple coworkers of mine. Names don't really need to be mentioned because I have several. And also, man, I'm thankful today, man. I'm really grateful. Had a bomb weekend. Had a bunch of good conversations with several people. Shout out to the brother Keelan Fielder. We're gonna see if we can get him in here next week. He has a powerful testimony. And this young brother, he's a powerful young brother. He's a minister of the gospel, and right now lights are being cut on in his head, man. He's seeing a bunch of light, and the same thing, and we're gonna get into this a little bit later. He opened up his testimony of what everything that he's been through the past, couple months to a year by saying something wasn't right. He said that those words, the magical word, not magical, but the convicting words, is something isn't right. And when something isn't right, it prompted him to action. Prayer request, bro. What you got? What you got, man?
My prayer request is that the Most High continue to remove the strong delusion, and I can clearly see, because people are starting to sense that something ain't right, the delusion is being removed. You know what I'm saying? That's evidence that the delusion is being removed, because for the longest time, everything seemed fine. You know what I'm saying? And I know you're going to get into it, but one thing the brother said that was key was he didn't know what to look for. He didn't know what to seek for until the Most High showed him something wasn't right. Prior to that, what the Ethiopian eunuch say, man, how can I understand what this stuff say unless somebody explain it to me? So if we don't know that it needs to be explained, we're not going to know it's a problem.
Right.
And continue to pray for clarity, for the truth to continue to be revealed. Of course, E court date coming up Friday. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the 15th.
Yeah, Friday. That's right. That's right.
So this is going to be a trying week for him, I know, mentally, but, we got to be of good cheer, because the most Yahweh Shai has overcome the world. And the world is against us. He said, man, they ain't going to know you. They ain't going to receive you because they didn't receive me. Right. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be persecuted for his name's sake. There's a hope, man. We ain't going to go into all that. But my health, you know what I'm saying, endurance to keep pushing and keep digging, keep shaking the haters off, welcoming them at the same time, because perseverance produces patience. Perseverance produces patience. So we're gonna welcome everybody that's in opposition, so we can get stronger.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's you helping us by hating. Please keep doing it. And I ain't talking about none of our listeners, but not our regulars, you know what I'm saying? But if you know somebody's like, oh man, them dudes don't know what they talking about, encourage them to call in. Encourage them to reach out and engage us in some spiritual debates, But endurance, deliverance, continual removal of the strong delusion, and health, and our elderly, of course, as usual.
Okay. Bow your heads with it. Father, thank you for bringing us here and assembling us once again to do your work. We can never underestimate the privilege that it is, being the vessels that we are, that you would choose to use us week in and week out. So we thank you for that. Thank you for choosing us. Thank you for life, health, and strength. And we ask that you continually be with our health. Thank you for the clarity and the light that you've given us to remove delusion, Father. And we pray that just nothing but spread, especially when we're doing this work here. Let us decrease so that you increase. Please send us your holy Ruach to speak through us right now, that the listeners may not hear Brad and O, but they may hear you, and encourage them to gain a better relationship and a stronger relationship with you. Pray that you be with my coworkers in a very special way and their various struggles and things that they're dealing with, Father. Give them the victory to overcome. And they're currently now seeking your face and seeking to get a stronger relationship with you, so I know you will deliver. Please be with E. Coming up on the court date this Friday. We already know miracles in store, so we shouting right now. Thank you for the victory and the mighty victory. I expect it to blow our minds how everything is just going to be smoothed out, because that's just exactly what happens. Thank you for the blessing, the finances that you've given us this past weekend, Father, and you just keep opening doors, and we thank you for the opportunity at the drug treatment facility as well. I'd like to pray for all the brothers and sisters of Hood Proud, those who are here, who are not here, for the brother Keelan Fielder, who I spoke to this weekend, and many things that he's dealing with, Father. I pray for every show that comes through this studio, and every member on that show, whether they got something positive or negative to say. You know exactly where they are, Father. And I just ask that you manifest your grace and your power and your mercy towards these people, towards everyone, so they can come to understand who you are. Because everybody in the end will have to give an account. So we know if it hasn't happened yet, it will happen. I pray over the engineer, the ownership of this studio, and continue to bless and move us as you see fit. In your son's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, man. Had several good conversations this week. Started last week. Maybe think it was like either Wednesday or Thursday. I rapped to you, and you gave me a mean spiel about this the BS week that you was having. You was just pushing through the junk. You know what I'm saying? And I do not want to forget how you have been tested with the fact with them boys rolled up on you while you was sitting in your truck, man.
Oh man.
You ain't even talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Off the humble, just flashlights, get out the car, and all this. You wasn't doing nothing. You was sitting, and that'd be the worst thing. We ain't gonna get too much deep into it, but I see how the harassment goes. You know what I'm saying? The harassment, the nonstop harassment from the enemy, man. I've been in the same place. You know what I'm saying? I tend to put my foot in my mouth a whole bunch, or not necessarily in that metaphor, but get myself into stuff that I shouldn't be getting into. And the devil finds a way to harass me through that means. And I always look at myself with guilt and like, man, why did I make that stupid mistake again? And these types of thoughts almost prevented me from having Bible study this past Friday night. But the theme of endurance kept getting refreshed in my mind and everything I was dealing with. We talked to you on the phone, talked about endurance. Then I think I had talked to Darian. He was talking about different things he was dealing with, just trying to make it through and enduring. I seen an article, you know what I'm saying, they're talking about the endurance of the spirit, how we're supposed to endure as Christians. And Keiju talked to me about endurance. I was like, okay, all right, endurance is the word. But I didn't have anything planned to say up until 1 hour before we had Bible study on Friday night, which was around 7:30 p.m. And the Most High took me through about 10 scriptures. He actually told me to write down 10, the number 10. He was like, 1, 2, he's like, go until you have 10. And when I ended with 2 Peter 1:6, which I'm going to read shortly. But also, the quick recipe. Have you ever been on YouTube seeing them DIY videos, you know what I'm saying, do it yourself, or you try to make a recipe and there's like 3-ingredient recipe, 4-ingredient recipe. It's real simple, you know what I'm saying? And it gets a lot of people to click on that link because nobody wants to do a whole bunch of work to make a good meal. You know what I'm saying? They want it short. I found, and the Most High pointed this out to me in Romans 12:12, the ingredients to enduring. And Romans 12:12 reads, matter of fact, I'm going to read 9 through 19. And it's talking about behaving, you know what I'm saying, like a follower of the Most High. It says, starting in verse 9, it says, let love be without hypocrisy, abhor what is evil, and cling to what is good. Be kindly affectionate to one another with brotherly love, in honor giving preference to one another, not lagging in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving Yahweh. But then here goes the 3-piece recipe for enduring. You're supposed to rejoice in hope, be patient in your tribulation, and continue steadfast in prayer. And the reason why I like that is because a lot of people don't have hope, Slim. They look at their situations, and whether they know the Most High, sometimes they do know the Most High, they still don't have hope. That's because there's a lack of faith or a lack of belief. There's a schism somewhere. And if we have hope, we're supposed to rejoice in the hope. And what that does, that gives us a fervent, it like strengthens the fact that we have hope. It's like, man, it's going to be a better day someday. You know what I'm saying? When my whole family was crying and sad because we had lost members of our family, it was only before a short time because they knew that there was a hope of a second of a resurrection, first resurrection. And when they had that hope, we didn't dwell in our sorrow a long period of time. We rejoiced in the hope that was yet to come. And that pretty much stayed us over through the mourning process. What's up?
Real quick, I'm going to let you keep going. Lamentations 3:21, 22, and 23. This I recall in my mind, therefore have I hope. It is of Yahweh's mercies that we are not consumed, right? Because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. I opened to that, and then you jumped into hope, so I figured I might as well insert that.
That fits. Yeah, that fits. Young, so when we were talking about this on Friday night, I believe it was necessary because everybody in that room had been dealing with a lot that week. And it is necessary for us to know that we have to push through times like these. Because when the blessings and the answers and the open doors come, they come and they blow our minds away. They always do. The Most High doesn't operate, in anything but miraculous.
Right.
That's how I view it. Even when, what I'm saying, I actually remember this. It's coming back to my mind now. When we were sitting in church, and a brother who did tithe and offering, he was talking about that large sum of money that he needed, and it got sent in the mail 3 to 4 days before he needed it, and it arrived on the day that he needed it. Remember?
Yeah.
And it brought him to tears while he was talking about it, because in his life, it's just a testimony. It's like, I sent up a prayer. It seemed like God was dragging his feet. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like he wasn't hearing me. But when he needed the answer, it came through right on time. And there are hundreds of, testimonies where people can acknowledge that. Even songs about it. You might not get him when you want him, but he'll be there right on time. He's an on-time God. Yes, he is. You know what I'm saying? It's an old gospel song. But that was very key to me, the endurance. And then, moving through the weekend, we had several conversations at the church. And then afterward, when I was talking to Keelan, and pretty much all those conversations I was having was one or two things were going on in the conversations. People were talking about what they had been through and how they've been able to make it past that, and they have hope to keep pushing forward. Or it was the conversation of the key phrase that I believe, everybody is going to have this realization when they first start to seek truth, is something isn't right. I was talking to Sherman on Friday night, and he was like, he said he came from a Methodist church. He was either Methodist or Baptist. Baptist. To the SDA church. And even while he was in our church, he figured that something wasn't right. When he was studying, he was getting his word from the pulpit, but something in his spirit was still stirring. And that caused him to seek more light, seek more truth based on what he had already known, until he could satiate that problem in his mind that something isn't right. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to the brother Fit Keelan, and he said the same thing. He said as he was preaching up there, as he was going through his doctrine and the material that he had, he was in disagreement of how some of the things were being taught, and then also more important things pertinent to the time that we're living in were not being taught. And in his mind, it's like something isn't right. Mm-hmm. And it started with him on tithe. Now I'm gonna try to get him in here next week so he could talk more about it. But his viewpoint is very powerful. It struck me as very powerful. But again, it began as something not being right. And I believe me and you, the way we, embarked on this journey that we still ain't finished, trying to find out more information, digging deeper into this word, finding out about more truth. It all begins with the fact that something in our spirit isn't right. You know what I'm saying? Not in our spirit, but we notice something when we come to worship. You know what I'm saying? That something isn't right. So let me finish going through this chapter because I said I would. Verse 13 of Romans 12, it says, so rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, and continuing steadfast in prayer, distributing to the needs of the saints, given to hospitalities. Bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep. Be of the same mind towards one another. Do not set your mind on high things, but associate with the humble. Do not be wise in your own opinion. Repay no evil for evil. Have regard for good things in the sight of all men. If it is possible, as much as depends on you, live peaceably with all men. Beloved, do not avenge yourselves, but rather give place to wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Yahweh. That whole portion to me sounds like it could have come straight out of Proverbs, really. It gives good sound counsel on how we should be living our lives. Not confrontationally, as far as possible, live peaceably with all men. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Stay humble. You know what I'm saying? These are good maxims to install in your very own life, and you'll go far. But when we were reading it and we were seeing how it equates to enduring, I was just glad that we had the recipe. I was glad that we had several promises. We went through several scriptures, encouraging us to be patient and to be able to endure, because the Savior himself had to endure even when he was down here. So if we're going to follow his example, then we know we got to endure some stuff that, might not be too comfortable. But in the end, it's going to be for our betterment. Mm-hmm. Because if we endure, that means we're getting refined. We're getting purified. But in the end, we will be better than the former. And the hope of that is what, keeps us going. It keeps us going. It was powerful, man. It was powerful. And I'm thankful that we got this word. I know we got a couple things we're going to look up regarding not only endurance, but the subject that you had in mind to jump off on, man. But if I could give a final word on enduring, you know what I'm saying? This book right here is chock full of promises to keep you going. Whenever you feel like, you know what I'm saying, the road is too rough, everybody, you know, you've heard this before, woo-saw, or take a breath, you know what I'm saying? Take a time out to collect yourself. But I would go one step further and just send up a prayer real quick. Because we are also told through the scriptures that if we ask for peace, that he'll give us that peace of mind. And if we keep our mind stayed on him, he will keep us in perfect peace. The word also says that as well. So if we have these types of promises, then we have the remedy to any time things are getting too hectic and too stressful. And, you know what I'm saying, sometimes it seems like we can't make it or the stress is too much. We got to endure. Because if we endure, you know what I'm saying, we'll be better for it. We'll be better for it. What was the definition of endure? Did you have that readily available?
I did not, but it ain't no thing. Endure.
I remember you read that joint Friday night. That joint was powerful. How it applied.
The definition of endure. To you. Endure. I think I read endurance, endure, and enduring. But endure is to remain firm, to sustain or undergo without breaking or yielding. To put up with, submit to with patience, to be compatible with, to permit, to remain firm as under adversity, suffer without giving up, to remain in existence.
Mercy. I've heard, you know, in several movies and shows, you know, don't give up. Never give up. Never give up. Because giving up and, you know, submitting to the pressure can kind of turn into a pattern. And I'm speaking from first-person experience. But the thing is, the thing that took me out of that pattern of temporarily giving up, I wasn't cool living with myself knowing that I had given up on something that I started out to finish. For instance, I remember... I remember this. I remember I had thoughts one time when I was in high school, varsity team, to quit the team. I love playing ball. You know what I'm saying? I need to be playing like more often, not like now, but definitely when I was in high school and college, I was playing it. And I went out for the varsity team, but the coach of the team, when he was getting this, he had something called preseason conditioning. So it wasn't basketball practice or shoot around, it was preseason conditioning. And what he had us do is he had us run a mile before and after practice. Didn't matter. We had practice 3 times a week.
Right.
So we was running. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when we first started out, I was like, man, I can't do this. I was like, I'm going to just have to fall back, maybe not play. But the thought of how I would feel about how could I live with myself about doing that, especially when all the other brothers is like making the team and stuff like that, I was like, I did not want to live with that type of shame on me. So I was like, nah, bump that. I'm going to just push through. I don't care if I got to crawl across the finish line. I'm going to at least complete it. I'm not going to give up. And it just so happens that doing that gave me the confidence to run, because I didn't like to run long distances because I had asthma at the time. You know what I'm saying? And that was a big hindrance mentally and physically on me. I was like, I can't do it. But when I changed my thinking and I was just like, nah, bump that. I'm going to do it because I don't want to deal with the shame of saying I quit. Then I kept going. You know what I'm saying? And every person comes to that decision, man. Every person comes to that decision, whether you give up, where you got the choice to give up, or you continue to push on through. And to endure, to be steadfast. You know what I'm saying? Just like the definition said, I think I like that word the most, to be steadfast. Because that doesn't mean whatever comes your way, you're going to push through that joint. You're going to push through it. What you giggling at?
Man, it's funny you said that, right?
What's up?
And you know, in the spirit of transparency, that's what we doing this show. I told you about this that I haven't made up for yet, but the most I just told me. Next time we go to the studio there at Justin People's house, I gotta go to High Point High School, and I gotta complete that lap around that track.
Hey man, look, I completed with you. Shoot.
I got you, bro. Cause it's crazy. Cause I
hated doing that, man.
I mean, I was completely unprepared. I didn't practice with the track team. I thought I was fast. Let me tell you how ignorant a brother was back in the day. Right? I don't know if you remember L.A. Gibbs, right?
Right.
I had on these big Bama tongue L.A. Gibbs. The tongue was like this big on them joints, right? They wasn't tied up.
Right.
But I thought I was fast.
Right.
So I'm at the start block. Actually, it was a relay. I think it was a relay. Pretty sure it was a relay because I was running the last leg. I wanted to bring up the rear.
Well, you was an
All
anchor.
the way out. I was an anchor, yeah, because I dropped straight to the bottom and kept that thing from moving. Yeah, that's what it was. I was an anchor for real. But I got to running and ran out my shoe.
Oh.
Because it wasn't even tied up.
That's right.
I ain't got no problem with being straight about that. You know, I think I was probably like 9. I might have been 11. Nah, I was like 9 or 10. Somewhere around there. I was fast. I just wasn't the smartest fast person. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have my shoes tied all the way up, first of all.
Right.
Wasn't even in no track shoes. Jokers was out there with Church Olympics.
Yeah.
Jokers was serious.
Yeah, they had the
you know what I'm saying? They had the cleats, they had the track shoes.
Right.
Man, Joe, ran out my shoe about 20 yards from the finish line. I had to go back and get my shoe.
Right.
But by the time I got back to get my shoe, everybody was finished the race.
Of course.
Everybody like, nah, go ahead, cross the finish line. That was the last time I got embarrassed. And that was extremely embarrassing. But after that, I made my mind up. I'm not getting embarrassed no more. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I don't embarrass to this day. I probably should. But that created something in me, man, that I hadn't really given a lot of thought to. I have thought in my adult years, especially since I've been like 30, 35. So from 35, I got to go back up High Point, man. I got to finish that race.
Finish that lap.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got to finish the race. Even if it's, man, ain't nobody got to be up there. The most high seen that I quit. He seen I gave up. I could have got my shoe and walked. Dead last anyway, but at least crossed the finish line.
At least cross the finish line.
The race is not to the swift, but it's to those that endure to the end.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Where's that found? Let's find that now, because I know.
Find it.
I know. I'll look it up. Keep talking.
But it's just wild because I mean it really hits home that I'm sure it's a lot of people that anybody that put their hand to the plow and look back is not fit for the kingdom. Right. You know what I'm saying? I think that's in Matthew. That messed me up. Going to school. You know what I'm saying? Only being down there a semester and a half. Going for theology and religion. Didn't complete it. I come home, I'm like, well, I put my hand to the plow. I look back, I guess the kingdom ain't for me. Misconception. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm not even going to try to go into what it actually means, that particular verse. But yeah, man, we got to finish. We got to finish our race. You can't worry about finishing somebody else's race. I mean, you know, if your brother fall, I mean, yeah, it's all right to go back, help him, pick him up. Y'all cross the finish line together. Bottom line, cross the finish line. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, 800,000, a million, whatever your number is when you cross that finish line, cross the finish line, man. And I got an unfinished flipping race, man. That's been there since I was like 9 years old. That could explain a lot of stuff, in, you know, subconsciously, where I just be like, F it. In a lot of situations, man, whatever, F it.
Yeah, that's
what I'm saying.
And that's what's talking about. You can adopt that real quick.
Man, it started young.
Yeah.
F it.
Yeah.
Man, after that, you go finish it. You know, you get smart with people. Like, man, come on, man, finish it. Man, no.
Yeah.
No.
Man, no.
I'm not gonna keep running.
Man, no.
But the whole time, you know, and then when it did nothing, when it did something stupid, I can think of several things that I got a memory of that I probably did after that I shouldn't have did. Probably wouldn't even happen if I'd have just finished the race. Last or not. Could have came in at least second or third. Still wasn't as fast as I thought I was because Jokers was out there ready to run.
They was ready to run.
They had their track shorts on. You know, I'm out there in regular, you know, shorts, probably jean shorts. You know what I'm saying? Just like, man, I'm about to race. Shoes ain't tied up. Wrong type of shoes. But, you know, I got to do that. Yeah, that's what when you said that, he brought it back to my memory. Next time we go to the studio of Justin Peoples joint, High Point right down the street.
Okay.
I got to go down there and finish that session. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully my heart be right and I don't die out there. Right. You know what I'm saying? Trying to run a quarter mile. Yeah. Not even a quarter mile.
I think the most I respect the fact that you're going out there to complete it and give you what you need to do.
I have no choice. At this point, you done brought it back up. I was hoping that wouldn't come back up. You know?
I tell you this though, like after that process, what the coach had aspired to do by making us do that, we achieved. because what happened was we outran every team that we played. Even teams that were more skilled and more organized than we were. We just ran them out the gym. Kind of like what the Warriors be doing to Bama's. They run you out. They got a high-paced flow of basketball. That's how they play, and you got to keep up with them.
They got the endurance.
Yeah, they got the endurance. And that's what we had, man. It was like young gazelles up and down that court, man. Shoot, it was great.
The dude that can keep running. I don't care how many points you come out and score. And I was never an organized basketball or organized any sport player. I loved football, never played it organized. You know what I'm saying? Could never really play basketball. I just had a shot every now and then. But man, if you can outrun the opponent, say defense wins games.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As long as you can stay going up and down that court, if the opposing team's offense get tired, because you're the defense and the offense, you know what I'm saying? But if you can keep running, 9 times out of 10, you're going to beat them in the long run. Yeah, that's what we got to do. We got to figure out. We got to learn that we got to keep running.
This thing that we in, this they say the Christian walk. I say it was more like a march, man. This thing is a march. Yeah, we ain't done march until we get designed. Period. That's how I'm thinking about it. But yeah, man. So that word of endurance, that's what I got for him today, man. What you cracking on?
Man,
I know you've been drilling for like the past 12 hours. You've been just in it.
And you know, with that, it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot of information. I'm not gonna try
to dig in.
Squeeze it into it.
Overarch the desire of why you were digging into it.
Man, because I recognize that my mother told me the other day when I was talking on the phone. It's like she stopped me and gave me a word. She do that from time to time. She's like, she believes that what we're gonna do is like bring this 3 angels message thing around to the forefront, and I believe that. She's been telling us since we was kids that we're gonna be used to tear Satan's kingdom down. And if he's built his kingdom on a lie, and he's usurped himself in a position of authority as the Savior, as the Most High's representative on earth through a religious organization, then somebody got to pull his card.
Got to.
Somebody got to be the one to call that mess out. Even if you go to what the 3 angels' messages is, I mean, we can read them. You know what I'm saying? It's in Revelation 14. He said,
fear God and give him glory. Babylon is fallen, is fallen.
The first angel. He say, verse 6, Revelation 14:6, and I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth. The everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and every kindred and tongue and people. I mean, I'm gonna look up. What's your definition of gospel?
You know what? That's crazy that you asked that, because I was supposed to ask you that earlier this week and I forgot. What's the definition of gospel?
Here we go.
Because I mean, when I think of gospel, I think of 2 things. I think about the story of redemption, which is the plan of salvation. That's the gospel. And the other thing is the music genre. Those are the only 2 things that come to my mind when I hear the word gospel.
See, we've been taught. I used to tell people this all the time. When you go to the Bible, start with the Gospels. Read about Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Start with the story of Jesus. The gospel is the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's what we're taught the gospel is. A good news, definition of gospel. Good news or tidings, especially the announcement of the salvation of mankind by, in this book it says, Jesus Christ. I'm going to say Hamashiach Yahushua. In general, the doctrines of the New Testament, I disagree. Something received is absolutely true. I agree with that. Any doctrine earnestly advocated by its supporters. Any doctrine earnestly advocated by its supporters.
That's gospel?
I don't know about that one. The history of the life and doctrines of Hamashiach Yahushua. I agree with that. Contained in the first 4 books of the New Testament. One of these books, the first 4 books of the New Testament, All right, I'm basically, according to to the definition, is the good news, or the good news or tidings about the salvation of mankind through the life and sacrifice of the Savior, Hamashiach Yahushua. Them stories, I don't know if you can put that in the category of everlasting, because everlasting has really no beginning, no middle, and no end.
Right.
It's been, it is, and it's going to be. So we know, even if, not to dwell on this, but we know that the term Jesus was created. So it has a beginning at some point in Earth's history, around 15-something. The Son, who was with the Father in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among men. So the Most High Son has always been there. He's always going to be there. We can debate what his name was in heaven. We can't debate what his name was here, but we can debate what his name was in heaven. But regardless, his beginning came when the Most High said, "This is my Son, today I have begotten him." He chosen to be his representative on this planet as well as in heaven. He was the second in command. You know what I'm saying? And if the gospel is everlasting, and I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven having the everlasting gospel, meaning it wasn't necessarily something new. The promise was made in the garden that there was going to be enmity put between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent. The seed of the woman was going to bruise the serpent's head, and the serpent's seed was going to bruise the seed of the woman's heel. I believe that's where the gospel began. That's where the promise of redemption to mankind began. I got somebody that I'm going to bring through this woman at some point that's going to clean this mess up that y'all just started.
Right.
That y'all just did. When y'all gave away y'all
authority,
and you gave away your he created man as a representation of himself
here
on this planet. And that's in the Hebrew it's in Strong's Concordance is H6754. If y'all study like that, H6754. He was a representative. You know what I'm saying? In Genesis 1:26, let us make man in our image. The image that he was referring to, as well as in Exodus 24, where it said, do not create any graven image. Don't make any fake representation. I have a representation. You know what I'm saying? Man is his representation. But he gave up that authority to the enemy, the usurper. You know what I'm saying? So you're talking about the everlasting gospel.
And then when he did that, that's when he started making other images.
That's when all that graven mess came in. That stuff that has really no substance. Graven. What does graven even mean? What does graven mean?
Graven image. Up to something that's molded or carved or fashioned into a likeness, I'm thinking.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Something etched.
Something etched.
Graven.
Gravy. Graven. Cut, carved. Cut or carved.
Something's cut or carved. That's it.
An idol. Something cut or carved.
It says an idol?
An idol. Cut or carved, such as an idol. You know what I'm saying? And we know what an idol is. Anything that's really put before the Most High. So you can cut or carve something in your mind. You know what I'm saying? And try to make it reality, a thought. You can carve a thought out of. You can carve an image in your mind and make that something that you adhere to as it's your God or whatever. Everybody they talk about a higher power. Anything can be your higher power. I've heard it said that tree could be your higher power, whatever keeps you sustained. So you making that, you giving the authority of the Most High to this image, this graven image that you created or carved out in your head, that you want to be what's in control in your life. That's not what he's talking about. But it's everlasting gospel. To preach unto all them that dwell on the earth, to every nation, kindred, tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, fear Elohim, and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. And worship him that made heaven and earth, the sea, and the fountains of waters. A lot of people had gods that they worship, but they can't take credit for creating the heavens and the earth. No. You may want to believe that they gave you some type of financial blessing or helped you here or there, but are they the ones that made the heavens and the earth?
The thing that always used to puzzle me is the process of it. I mean, in Scripture, in the Old Testament, the Most High walked through the process of a man going out to the woods, cutting down a tree, taking it home, fashioning it, covering it with gold, and then kneeling down to pray for it, to ask it for what he needs. And he's like, I mean, the thought process of that is it's stupid.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And but what drives a man to do that? When is first of all, the other thing to be blowing me is, I mean, the other thing that shocks me in that same process is we tend to put ourselves in the place of God, because that's what sin does. You know what I'm saying? We know better than him. But but since we were created to worship, we have to have something to worship.
We have to have something to worship. That's the key.
We have to have something to worship.
Yeah.
That's why that need and that desire to make something graven.
We have to have something to worship.
Wow.
We have to have
because
something to worship.
we were made to worship, because that's what he did. He created us for that purpose.
But this is what he tells you. This is what he tells us in Exodus chapter 20.
Man,
That's what he tells us. He warns us. He gives us a heads up. He say,
we were created to worship, so we get it.
Elohim spake all these words, saying, I am Yahweh thy Elohim, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Don't go carving nothing.
Yeah.
Don't go creating nothing in your head and trying to make it me. Don't create any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
That's everywhere.
He knew, because we were created to worship. If you go as far as to do that, he knew what the next step was.
Right.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them.
Serve them. Oh yeah.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. Because you can bow down to something and not necessarily be in service of it. But when you allow your mind to, you like, I'm about to go out here and put this work in for my tree that I cut down out my backyard and I shaped into a
I think about people who worship celebrities. Like people who I'm telling you, I'm be as real as I possibly can be. I remember when I first saw a celebrity in the club. It was in the club. And I had gone to see Snoop at Dream. That should take you back. Because Dream ain't even Dream no more. Dream got turned into Love's nightclub, one of the fanciest nightclubs DC ever had. And Snoop was performing up there joint with Dre and a couple other West Coast dudes. And I remember when he came out there on the stage, females and dudes lost their mind. And I'm just like, oh, cool, it's Snoop. But then that's it. It's another human who has that name. He has some celebrity. He's famous. You know what I'm saying? But that's about as far as it goes for me. You know what I'm saying? He don't know me. You know what I'm saying? He ain't gonna give me nothing. The only thing I could do to him is like, hey, what's up, dog? You doing your thing. Give him a handshake. But then that's it. And I've actually done that with some celebrities. What's up, man? How you doing? You doing your thing. Give him a hand. And that's all I've said. It ain't been no autograph or can I take a picture with you?
right.
First of all, I felt since I was a man, that's kind of punkish to do that. That's just me. Unless it's a man I greatly respect.
Right.
Like if it was Thurgood Marshall when he was still alive, or Barack Obama. I was like, yes, sir. Come take, you're doing something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I respect what you do. But there are people who follow certain celebrities. They bash those who speak against them. They go after the livelihood of those who speak against them. They'll go as far, especially with the access that social media gives, to tear that person's whole online reputation down, which is possible nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you have, your digital thumbprint or fingerprint, somebody can tear you apart. But to do that in favor of somebody who doesn't know you, but is profound in your eyes, that's worship.
That's worship.
That's worship.
That's exactly what it is. It's worship.
To go that hard for another human being, you know what? I'm glad we said that's. I think that's the most profound thing that's been said thus far. The fact that we were created to worship. That's where this base desire comes from. we're going to find something that's better than ourselves and hold it higher than ourselves, especially when we don't know the Most High. We're going to put something else high, but he's the Most High, and we don't look to him because he's too high.
And we're created
for
to
some
do that.
people. Yeah, we're created to do that.
We're created to have a desire to serve something. Well, it's something because we fell away from what we're supposed to be serving.
Right.
So we got to fill that void with something.
Right.
We got to serve something.
Even with Nebuchadnezzar, man, the Joker. I mean, you think about when Nebuchadnezzar had the dream. He gave the decree. He's like, y'all tell me what this dream means. Y'all tell me what the dream was and what it means. Could nobody do it? Daniel had the little diet, came through, told him what he dreamed and what it meant. Shocked the mess out of him. Gave him all the lavishes that he could want because he did that. But a little bit of time passed. He got back to, I got to be the one.
He was looking at his kingdom.
Yeah, looking at his kingdom. Thought about, and he said, I'm the gold head. But after the head comes the chest of silver. That means I'm going to end. But we'll bump that. I want a whole image of gold. And y'all bow down to that. And because I'm the one that set it up, this is what I am worshiping. And to show you that I got power, I want everybody else to worship what I worship. That takes it to a whole nother level. That takes the devotion, that's making somebody else worship what you worship.
And the Most High told us why he didn't want us to do that. He said, thou shalt not bow down thyself to them nor serve them, for I, Yahweh, thy Elohim, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generations of them that hate me. So if you're going to worship something else,
Wouldn't you?
apparently you hate me.
Why wouldn't you be? Dog, what if, think about this. We are his kids, his creation. And we giving praise, honor, and worship to something that is inanimate and it had nothing to do with us being here. Would that not make you mad? Parents, think about your children going and calling a statue dad or mom. Or giving that thing the honor and respect that is due to a parent to something or somebody else. That would make you jealous.
They do it with their video games. They give honor and respect to their games that they don't get to their parents. Parents say, you cut that game off. Wait. No. I'm almost finished.
I was talking to Raphael. He was like, he said he has mentees, which I believe is very powerful. He's a mentor. He's a big brother.
I thought you were talking about a video game.
No. But I'm going into that. He said he's a mentor. So some of his mentees that he picks up, he's like, if he goes over there and they playing Fortnite or one of them battle royale games, you know what I'm saying, and he gets there when they're playing it, and the mother tells the child to cut it off, he's like, they'll be pissed off the whole time that he's with them, that they're with them. It's like, they won't speak, they won't do nothing. They're just like, nah, you cut me off in the middle of my game, bro. And they'll have a grudge like that. He's like, man, it's been ridiculous. But he was like, when they play that game and they win, he's like, what's on cloud? They on cloud nine. It's like they won money. And I was like, the devil got an idol for everybody.
The honesty that the Most High displays in this verse, though, the honesty that he displays.
The honesty. He said
he don't want you to do it. Don't do nothing that's gonna make him jealous, because your great grandkids gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah, Byzantine.
Or you gonna get it too.
Right.
But because I'm me, man, look, this is how I operate. You ain't gonna be around long enough for me to appease my anger for what you did. So your great grandkids is gonna feel it. So think about your future generations, and don't create no graven images or likenesses of anything. Don't bow down to them. Don't serve them. So I won't have to punish your great grandkids.
I think the danger in that was also the fact that they could learn those practices from their parents. You know what I'm saying? So that it would be instilled in them. I mean, and I always go back to the Book of the Kings when the king did wickedly. He had a son. The son came on the scene. What the first couple lines say? He either followed in the footsteps of his father and did right, or he followed in the footsteps of Jeroboam, who was the most wicked, until Manasseh came on the scene. You know what I'm saying?
Now, it's funny that you said that. It's funny that you said that, because in Judges, and I'm gonna get back to the three angels message, but in Judges, it was funny. It was talking about what was the brother's name?
Micah?
Nah, yeah, but it was a different part. It was later on. Judges. No, it was Judges.
You talking about that story or a different one?
It was a part of it. Judges, what was that? 17 and 18.
I only mentioned the judges and the Danites.
But when you got no, it was Kings. It was It was Kings 10. It was
First Kings. By the way, the Book of the Kings, I love those books.
Second Kings.
The
3.
Books of the Kings, you talking about some real stuff that was going down. Y'all check out the Book of the Kings if you want some serious drama-filled, action-filled story time. Go ahead.
Here you got this dude, Jehoram. He said, now Jehoram, this is 2 Kings chapter 3, the son of Ahab began. No, the son of Ahab. Look, I got these marks right here. Now, Jehoram, the son of Ahab, began to reign over Israel and Samaria the 18th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and reigned 12 years. And he wrought evil in the sight of the Lord, but not like his father and like his mother, for he put away the image of Baal that his father had made. Nevertheless, he cleaved unto the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin. He departed not therefrom. That's this story right here was mean. When he linked up with the king of Edom and the king of Judah, and they went and found Elisha. You know what I'm saying? Because they were scared. And Elisha was like, man, look, Slim, what are you talking to me for, Joe? If it wasn't for the presence of the king of Judah here with you, I wouldn't be talking to you or him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But go get somebody to play me some music.
Right.
And after they played the music, he was like, all right, this is what the Most High said.
Yeah,
do.
right.
Go dig
Calm
some
me
ditches.
down. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And fill it with, they're going to fill with water. And the water came out of Edom. Came from the direction of Edom. You know what I'm saying? Blew my mind. That's a whole, there was so much that came through this. We ain't got enough time to really get into everything he's showing. But I'm reading whole chapters like, dang, Joe, that's mean. How he just carried him like that. This is the man of God.
That's the man of God, though.
This is the man of God. He was like, what are you doing?
He has the authority to do that.
He said, Elijah said unto the king of Israel, what have I to do with thee? This is verse 13. Get thee to the prophets of thy father, and to the prophets of thy mother. And the king of Israel said unto him, nay, for Yahweh have called these 3 kings together to deliver them into the hand of Moab. And Elisha said, as Yahweh of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, surely were it not that I regard the presence of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, I would not look toward thee, nor see thee. But now bring me a minstrel or a musician. And it came to pass when the minstrel played that the hand of Yahweh came upon him. He was ready to disregard them. But for some reason, he was understood that if I could just get me some music, if I could just hear some sermonic flow,
Man.
you know what I'm saying?
Man.
The Spirit may speak.
Man.
And if he speak, then I'm going to tell you
Never
what to do.
tell you what to do.
But if he don't speak, Slim,
Right.
if Jehoshaphat, we cool. Was it Jehoshaphat?
Jehoshaphat.
We cool. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no beef with you, bro. But you, Jehoram, and this Edomite,
I wouldn't even
man,
look at
deuces,
y'all.
man.
Yeah.
Kick rocks. Why are you over here? Go to the prophets of your fathers and your mothers, man. Y'all ain't been seeking the Most High faith. You scared? Now you want to come seek the Most High faith. Man, nah, I ain't got nothing to do with that. If you don't tell me to make a move, I ain't making no move
ain't
for
doing
you.
it.
I'm not doing it.
I like that. I like that type of authority that he had because he knew who he was working for, man.
And
He knew
Jehu
who he was
too.
Yeah, Jehu.
He-
We ain't even got time to get into Jehu.
Jehu.
Jehu
Y'all
turn. He'll
gotta
burn
look these
buildings.
characters up, man.
Yeah, I got to.
These people are real.
Read the Kings. You tell everybody like them medieval joints like Game of Thrones and all this other stuff. But I'm telling you, read the books of the Kings, man. First and Second Kings. You can start in Samuel. You know, the end of David's reign. You know what I'm saying? And then just go into the Kings and look at what happened. Some wild stuff, man.
Them
Wow,
angels'
stuff.
messages, man. Them angels' messages, man, to preach the everlasting gospel. Another angel followed, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Babylon is fallen, man. Babylon, that religious, that pagan religious system, you know what I'm saying, which is also a political entity. You got a religious political entity that fell in ancient times and it's fallen in modern times. The angel is warning of this. The third angel's message is the most important. The third angel follows, saying with a loud voice. He's the only one that said with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture to the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So it's 3 key things there that I think we should be focused on. Anybody that worship the beast, his image, and receive his mark, they got some got some issues. He's calling us out of Babylon. He's calling us out of Babylon. We should be diligent enough in our study. And matter of fact, the Pen of Inspiration says in this breakdown, that's the meat of it all. You know what I'm saying?
What?
I'm about to read it to you. About worshiping the beast. The classification is repeated, doubtless for emphasis. The third angel utters a most fearful threat. The inhabitants of earth will be without excuse if they do not escape the entanglement here warned against. They should put forth every effort to discover the identity of the beast, his image, and the mark, and to become acquainted with his wiles and policies. That should be our sole purpose in life, because everybody is going to be affected in one way or the other.
Right.
We looked up what wonder means at the daggone at the Bible study. And that was what? Revelation, what was that?
Everyone should wonder after the beast. 12?
12 through 4. 12. No. Was it 12 or 13? And I stood.
That's when the beast came up.
I saw one of his. Oh, yeah, okay, 13:3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And in the breakdown, I think wonder, we concluded from the definition, all the world wondering.
Marvel.
It concludes. It involves everybody. Everybody, whether you actually agree or you disagree. Wonder. What I wrote it. I wrote it down. Wonder. A strange thing. But it was down here, I think. To entertain doubt or curiosity. To entertain doubt or curiosity. Even you, whether you agree with it or you're curious enough to follow along anyway, it's going to affect everybody. Everybody on the planet at some point in the last days are going to have some type of mental attraction. Whether you're thinking about it doubtfully or whether you're thinking about it in curiosity, you're going to be attracted to the beast in some way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? But all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, except those. See, the worship piece, you're going to wonder. Everybody going to wonder, but everybody ain't going to worship. The warning from the angels is to avoid the worship of the beast. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to worship, what does it say? Saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven, earth, and the seas and the fountains of water. The beast didn't make the heavens, the earth, and the sea and the fountains of water. So this deception that's about to be set up, this beast is going to produce an image that's going to have people thinking he God on earth, like he got some type of real authority here. You know what I'm saying? This beast power, this religious political power, is going to put itself in a position to dictate to the rest of the world what should or shouldn't be done. This power has an image that's going to make himself out to be God. There's a mark that's associated with this beast power, and there's a name that's associated with this beast power. That's going to be for another show. But that image, the Most High had me looking up what this image is. All throughout the Bible, because you see here it says the third angel follows, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image. We're created to worship. So by default, we're going to worship something. It's either going to be the Most High, or it's going to be something we conjured up on our own, or that was conjured up for us, that took the place of the Most High.
Which is worse, making something to worship or worshiping yourself?
Making something to worship or worshiping yourself? I would think worshiping self.
I would too.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you create something to worship, at least you're conscious of the fact that you're outwardly doing this. But if you're worshiping self, you put yourself on a pedestal. You could be living your day-to-day life with no concern of anybody or anything around you, and that's kind of like self-worship. That's why we're supposed to die to self daily, so you don't slip into that position. You know, you do unto others as you would have others doing. You know, you
It's not popular.
love your neighbor as yourself.
Right.
You look to the next man as if you would look to yourself. Then you know your life is being productive. But if you're so
Following one of
focused
the
on
two.
you
Yeah.
and you missing out on your nigga, you're gonna step over the nigga because he laying in some mud and you got some fresh Jordans on. But the whole time he face down, just turn him over so he can breathe. You're like, oh, I don't want to get my shoes dirty. So you step over somebody in need. Man, the Most High don't respect that. He ain't got no love for that.
It's disobeying the second great commandment.
Man,
Love your neighbor.
Love your neighbor as yourself. You know what I'm saying? All the commandments hinge on that, on love. You know, he got me on this image. So that's where I'm at. I got to get an understanding of what this image is, you know, what this beast power is, what that mark is, what that name is. We've been instructed to make that our like sole purpose and understanding, because that's what it's going to boil down to. You know, the Most High in the beginning created man in his image. He has an image. And in Corinthians 11, excuse me, in 1 Corinthians 11, 7, 1 Corinthians 11, 7, 1 Corinthians 11, 7, 1 Corinthians 11, 7, for a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God. So a man, man. Here you got an image being, you got Genesis 1:26, the Most High saying, let us make man in our image. You got 1 Corinthians 7, 1 Corinthians 11, 7 saying, for a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and the glory of God. You got the man being stamped as the image of God again. So this image got to be a man of sorts, because the image can also be a spirit. That's in Job 4:16. The image was referred to as a spirit because he saw a spirit and then an image presented itself to him. You know what I'm saying? But that's down the list. But then starting in Hebrews. You know what I'm saying? In Hebrews, it lets you know that. All right, let's make it plain real quick. 1 Corinthians 11:7. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God. Man is the image and glory of God. But in Hebrews, it stamps a specific man, and that is the Savior, who Hebrews chapter 1, verse 3. Well, Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1. God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers of the prophets, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds, who being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high. So you got Yahushua being, all right, man was made in God's image. That's his representation here.
Okay.
What's up?
No. I'm continue because I think
Man was made in God's image and in his likeness as his representation here. He stamped that in 1 Corinthians 11:7, for the man indeed not cover his head when he pray, because he is the image and glory of God. However, the brightness of the Most High's glory and the express image of his person is Yahushua. So you got
the express image of his person.
the express image of his person,
Right.
his being.
That means, yeah.
He's the outward display of who God is,
Right.
of who the Father is. So this beast image,
That makes it very significant that he put on our flesh.
he had to.
Yeah.
He had to, for a number of reasons. He had to redeem. He had to redeem,
He had to
the
redeem
flesh.
us in the flesh, right? He had to
But
do
at the
that.
same time, he saw down through the future and knew that the devil was going to set up a man in a position
Yeah.
to be looked at. He was going to set a man.
Vicar of Christ. God on earth. We already had that. God was already here on earth. He did his job and he went back up. He ain't leading nobody else down here.
Just beast power. Then he checked me on what I was thinking the image was. Clearly the image is the office of the Pope. That's that man, that's that image that man possesses for this beast power. They got a mark. They tell you themselves that the mark of their authority is Sunday worship. I need to get that quote so I can have it ready when I make that statement, but Google it. Everybody use Google for everything. Ask Google who changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday, and you'll see what a pope, whatever cardinal that was, makes that statement. And quotation marks, we did.
And the year. Yep.
It ain't in the Bible. We did it as a mark of our authority. Those words.
Because our authority is above the Bible.
That's how tradition. They esteem tradition higher than Scripture. You know what I'm saying? It ain't on the solo scriptura. They do what they want to do because they deem themselves infallible, and they feel like they got whatever. But you got so you got the image, you got the mark. Now what's the name? Look, man, I gotta use the bathroom, man. We take a break real quick.
Yeah, we take a break. We can take a break.
Yeah.
We'll be back in 5 to 10.
Every time they see us come, watch them demons shake.
Hey man, here he come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go, man.
Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say.
Hey, real talk, what you say around here too, man? Real
His
talk.
name's Holy. If you don't know about Father Rahai, his name's Holy. And you don't know about his son Yeshai, his name's Holy. Receive the gift of Ruach Hadah, his name's Holy. Forever screaming, Kwam Yasharallah, his name's Holy.
You ain't got to tell me names whole way. I'm calling a higher. Calling them out. Kicking them tables over. Just like Yeshaya. Digital download of the hard copy. Man, them 2x2s. Some of these Hebrews be acting feminine. We call them 2 wonk fools. I'm laughing at them. Same time, wouldn't put it past them. I ain't trying to be the boys' favorite rapper. They only rap because they Twitter popular. That's the difference between me and them. I'm the son of Jacob. They the son of sin. The rock open, so I'ma go on in. We don't go ham, but we go shim. I'll gut that bird, put his fur on. Great warrior like Gideon. I tell you the truth, do what you do. I can't judge you like Gideon. I get these bars from my album. Ruach is my ghost rider, word Shamyala. I'm ready for that war, you know I'm a rider. Left hand on my strap, right hand on my Bible. Yeah, every day I'm getting tested, but I don't fall, guess that's progression. Got a whole list of do's and don'ts. Just have a seat, yeah, class a session. Praise the Father, yeah, that's a blessing. You can relate to somebody in the same stages. Yeah, I love them when the beat bang, but you know they hate it when we're Judah make it. Yeah,
Time they see us come, watch them demons shake.
Hey man, here he come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go, man.
Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say.
Hey, real talk, what you say around here too, man? Real
His
talk.
name's Holy. If you don't know about Father Rahai, his name's Holy. And you don't know about his son Yeshai, his name's Holy. Receive the gift of Ruach Hadah, his name's Holy. Forever screaming, Kwam Yasharallah, his name's Holy.
Jake, mind what you telling me? Cause I sit through muddy water and I ain't buying no dreams. So you best watch what you selling me. Lou and Misery out the STL, I'm out the Triple D, but like we come from the same place. Cause if you stated, then you have to show me it like I come straight out that show me state. Our doctors best coordinate, our powers best correlate, and we live for your science. So if we inspire your son, who him gon' resuscitate? Real Judah, you ain't holy, but I still see through it. We all messing, you say recycling bin. The way you let him reuse ya. Try to walk my walk, cause the journey to the kingdom, man, is like a foot race. Try to use the fruits of the spirit, but then they be acting just like some fruit cakes. I turn my cheek for his name's sake, but brother, I only have 2 of them. So you best leave me alone for I smash principalities and vessels they be residing in. I take it for Christ as the highest in the Lord. Said I could wash and inspire my floors. I pray that I higher by having the Messiah. They are my power, you already know. The way Jake's haters like we the star, but they got it all wrong. Show about the Father, Son, and Spirit, man. If I was super rude, shall this be my theme song?
Every time they see us come, watch them demons shake.
Hey man, here he come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go, man.
Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say.
Hey, real talk, what you say around here too, man? Real
His
talk.
name's Holy. If you don't know about Father Rahai, his name's Holy. And you don't know about his son Yeshai, his name's Holy. Receive the gift of Ruach Hadah, his name's Holy. Forever scream, hey love, Yasharallah, his name's Holy. The Messiah should be over 2,000 years old, but the letter J didn't come until 1524. Now go and search for your proof. See what all these names mean. Siri, Hosea 2, verse 16 and 17. Or Hosea 4 and 6, we perish for lack of knowledge. The teachings of his majesty, they don't teach in college. Not that devil philosophy got you always debating. And that tetragrammaton got you still calling on Satan. Is it Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahuwah, Yeshua? Depart from me, I never knew you. If that is one of the names that you call him, hope you do not let Lucifer fool you. He's known to deceive us and known to confuse. Call on Jesus and end up with Zeus. Pray to them demons, wonder why you lose. Might not like it, but that's just the truth. Every time they see us come, watch them demons shake.
Hey man, here he come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go, man.
Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say.
Hey, real talk, what you say around here too, man? Real
Cause
talk.
name's so way. If you don't know about Father Rahai, cause name's so way. And you don't know about his son Yeshai, cause name's so way. Receive the gift of Ruach Hadah, cause name's so way. Forever screaming, Kwam Yasharah, cause name's so way.
Father who? Our Father who? Our Father who? Our Father who? Our Father who? Hello, hello, hello. I said our Father who? 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 Hello.
Cause name's so way.
Business owners looking to advertise your business and VoxWave is the right place. We have over 10,000 views a day and 70,000 listeners a month. For more information, contact Reg Gaskins at 240-832-4455.
VoxWave now features a streaming radio media player on our website's front page, where local artists can get their music played 24/7. For more information on getting your music in rotation or to perform live at our studio, contact Reg Gaskins at 240-832-4455.
Android users, the VoxWave app is now available in the Google Play Store. Download the app today on your Android device to listen in and view programs.
2018, I personally helped several people reclaim their healthy lives with a ketogenic lifestyle. Together with our team at Wakaya Perfection, we have helped over 4,000 people struggling with weight loss, burn off unwanted fat naturally, control hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and high cholesterol with our Beulah Fit Keto Fuel Shake and high-impact ginger and turmeric. Contact me for yours. Buttons about that ketolife.mywakaya.com. That's BUTTONSBOUTTATEOLIFE.MYWAKAYA.com or call 202-875-3926.
Every time they see us come, watch them demons shake.
Hey man, here he come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go, man.
Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say.
Hey, real talk, what you say around here too, man? Real
Cause
talk.
name's so way. If you don't know about Father Rahai, cause name's so way. And you don't know about his son Yeshai, cause name's so way. Receive the gift of Ruach Hadah, cause name's so way. Forever screaming, Kwam Yasharah, cause name's so way.
You ain't gotta tell me names whole way. I'm calling a higher, calling them out, kicking them tables over, just like Yeshaya. Digital download of the hard copy, man, I'm 2x2s. Some of these Hebrews be acting feminine, we call them 2 wonk fools. I'm laughing at them, same time, wouldn't put it past them. I ain't trying to be the boys' favorite rapper. They only rap cause they Twitter popular. That's the difference between me and them. I'm the son of Jacob, they the son of sin. The rock open, so I'ma go on in. We don't go ham, but we go shim.
We back. Thank you for joining us again here in the studio. This is Real Talk 101, Sunday afternoon, 6 to 8 p.m. We had a very intense first half, what we usually do. And we were talking about images, and always making points out of First Corinthians? First Corinthians, and then we were talking about the three angels' message found in Revelation 14 and the seriousness of the three angels' message. And man, that's one thing, you know, that we definitely realize we can spend a lot more time teaching. And what we're going to work on, because we were talking about it off air, is just working on doing a series of that. Just picking that thing apart and making the whole show about, you know, portions of that we're going to break down. We might start that, before the end of the month or by the end of the month, man. But that needs to be done. That needs to be done, just so we don't leave people, confused. They were talking about this and talking about that. But we want to make sure that everything is clear. And if we dissect the three angels' message and the pertinent events to the times that we're living in right now that have been prophesied in Revelation, then that'll be a good thing. And I think, I think that'll be a good thing to almost kick off when Keelan comes on, because he said all last year that's what he preached, Revelation. So we can, when he comes in here, we definitely have a bigger conversation on the book of Revelation. I encourage everybody to read the book too. Did y'all know there was a blessing in store for the reader of the book? A lot of people I know have been afraid to crack the pages because of all the stuff that they talk about in there. But there's a blessing if you read and you pray for understanding, and you are able to read and understand what is in that book, and it is possible. So yeah, that's what we dissecting right now. Where was you at before we jumped off?
The Most High took me through a good 100 and some different references of images, and between the Old and New Testament. You know what I'm saying? But it's interesting. You start out with the image that God created himself, which is man, in his own image. After that, where he gets to warn us over and over and over and over and over again, don't create an image. We think he only said it in the second and third commandment. He constantly repeated that thing. Constantly. Deuteronomy 4:16, 23, 25, Deuteronomy 5:8, 9, Deuteronomy 5:8, Deuteronomy 9:12, Deuteronomy 16:22. I'm going to go to that real quick because I thought it funny that Deuteronomy 16, the image talked about there, it's still a graven image, but it said, Deuteronomy 16:22, neither shalt thou set thee up an image which Yahweh thy Elohim hated. That was the first time out of all the scriptures I looked up where it mentioned he hated the image. I thought the verse of scripture came to my mind, 6 things doth Yahweh hate. Yeah, 7 is an abomination. That's Proverbs 6:16. You know what I'm saying? He gives you what he hates. And based from what I can read
Pride
there,
is on the top of that daggone list. I think I remember.
Proverbs 6, a haughty look. If I'm not
haughty look, yep, that's
Proverbs
in there.
6.
A lying person or brother, somebody who sows discord amongst the brethren. I know that's in there. What is it? 6:16.
Proverbs 6.
Yeah, these 6 things Yahweh hates. Yes, 7 are an abomination to him: a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift in running to evil, a false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord among the brethren.
Now, it ain't my personal opinion, but that image that we was talking about, I think all those apply to him. Or maybe not the one that's in current office, but collectively, whoever's held that position, they hold these characteristics. You know what I'm saying? Proud looks, they're infallible. Does it get any prouder than that? You can't do wrong. You think you infallible or whatever. A lying tongue. Well, come on, man. Hands that shed innocent blood. I think they call it the Inquisition, if I'm not mistaken. A heart that devises wicked imaginations. Man, we can go all over the place with that. Feet that are swift and running to mischief. They got their goons. I think they call them Jesuits, if I'm not mistaken. They make it their business to infiltrate every aspect of everything for the purpose of bringing people's minds back around the popery. And a false witness that speaketh lies and has sowed discord among the brethren. Yeah, all that applies to them. You know what I'm saying? That position. And that was just that in Deuteronomy, that particular image that he hated. Don't set up nothing like that. There's all been a warning, and it started from the beginning. Once he set up his image, man, you know what I'm saying, his representation here, man messed up. We kept making images, trying to recreate that connection. You know what I'm saying? Adam didn't have to worship himself. He had a connection with the Most High. He lost that connection. He still seeked the Most High's face. They had a system that they used, that he put in place, the sacrificial system, to keep that connection tight. Now, those that weren't a part of that or didn't adhere to that, because we're created to worship, they had to do something to appease that void. So we're going to sacrifice to trees and stones and the sun and the moon and the stars and animals. We're going to sacrifice the cows, and we're going to sacrifice a cow to a cow.
True.
We're going to worship the goat and the bullock and the calf. You know what I'm saying? We're going to take the sheep and sacrifice to the calf. It's asinine. That's what we become when we absent of the Most High. We become asinine.
Yeah, we just stray.
Constant
thoughts and it's like kind of what it was in the days of Noah, man. Every thought of man was wicked continually.
That's what it's going to be in these last days. That's what scriptures tell us. As it was in the days of Noah, so it's going to be in these last days before the coming of the Son of Man.
Mm-hmm.
That story in Judges, I don't know if Darian listened or not. I wanted him to call in and give his take. You know what I'm saying? I already know what the Most High gave you. We can actually break that down real quick. We ain't got to read through the entire thing, but I found this to be real interesting because one of the verses in Judges 17, 3 and 4 speaks of images, but it's a little confusing when the chapter starts out. I don't know if you want to start out.
Judges jump?
Yeah, Judges 17 from the beginning. We can go through the story and just break it down as we go. We got a little bit of time because I ain't got but a couple more verses I want to touch on anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, in the book of Judges, it comes on the heels of the ending of the story of Samson. It's talking about this brother named Micah, who is from the mountains of Ephraim.
Let me ask you this real quick. Is this the same Micah that the book of Micah is referring to?
That's what I do not know. I was thinking about that when I first read it, but I got into the story because when I saw the name, I was like, "Oh, Micah, could it be dude from the book?"
I'm looking at the dates. This occurred in my Bible around 1406 BC, but Micah is more so. I think Micah was
You say like 300 something?
It was 700 something. The book of Micah.
Either that's far removed.
Yeah, that's some time. So I don't know that they're the same. I don't think it's the same person. But Zechariah, Micah, Haggai, Zechariah.
Well, I mean, I also look at this and it's like
750 BC.
This is the reason why the Most High had judges, to keep these people in line. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't have a ruler, they didn't have a king at the time. But the judges were sent to quell the apostasy.
Right.
You know, when they were left to go alone by themselves, they kept straying further and further out, like wandering sheep. You know what I'm saying? And when they did that, they picked up a lot of traits and habits from the surrounding nations or whatever. And idolatry was accepted again, or wasn't. It was treated lightly, like a light thing. You know what I'm saying? And when I read Judges 17 and 18, it was speaking about Micah, who was with his mother, and she had 1,100 shekels of silver that was taken from her. Micah had recovered it. The only thing I'm foggy about is if he took it from somebody else or if he took it from his mother himself. That's what I did not know. But anyway, his mother had taken the silver. She had dedicated it to the Most High for her son. But when her son brought the 1,100 shekels back to her, she took 200 of that and had 2 idols made, one carved and one molded out of silver. And Micah took these images, put them in his home with the rest of his teraphim, which were small household deities. So I was like, man, it's just this stuff multiplies. And what he did is he consecrated his son. What's up?
So they had turned idol worship into like a
hobby,
like merchants. You know, you get somebody come through and they selling T-shirts or baseball caps.
Especially if you was nice with the carving.
Get your idols here. You know, I got your little.
So, and they say, "Oh, what's this one?" He could say anything. It was, "Oh, this one gives you fertility. This one gives you wisdom." You know what I'm saying? Anything. You know what I'm saying? And
that's what the teraphims were.
Yeah, that's what the teraphims.
Little minor idols.
Yeah. So you want good, good chakra, good spirit, good vibes up in your home. You know what I'm saying? It's the remnants of that are still being done today. You better believe. So what he did is he took his son, consecrated him. He made his son a priest. By whose authority? It was his own. Then the story diverts from that, and it talks about a Levite who left. Where was he at? He wasn't in Laish. The Levite was. Where did he? He was from Bethlehem and Judah. He was from Bethlehem and Judah. He was a Levite. Now everybody seemed to know that the Levites were the priests of of Israel. You know what I'm saying? That whole tribe of Levi, those are the priests. And it still drives me wild. I just love bringing this up. That Levi was a rough and rugged, violent man. He was one of the most violent brothers of the children of Israel. You know what I'm saying? The sons of Israel. He was one of the most violent, and yet his seed was chosen to be the priests because they weren't afraid to get work in.
Man, they had to kill stuff.
They did kill stuff.
Had to
They
cut
did.
stuff up,
Them
man.
brothers was
Gut
rough.
stuff and
Yeah.
peel stuff back. Yeah.
So so this Levite, you know what I'm saying, he left Bethlehem in order to go out, you know, find his place in the world. He was looking for a plot of land, really. And he came through the mountains of Ephraim, met up with Micah. Micah, you know, he found out he was a Levite, and he said, look, man, why don't you just stay up in my tent, you know what I'm saying, or stay where I'm at, you know what I'm saying. You can be my priest, you know, and you can live with me, and I'll give you 10 shekels a year, a suit, and it was something else. He gave him 10 shekels a year, a suit, and whatever else he needed, you know what I'm saying. And I found also, you know what I'm saying, some food, yeah, stuff, the necessities,
Victuals.
And so when he gave him this stuff, the Levite was like, cool, I'll stay with you, I'll be your priest. And the Levite should have at least known. That's just that. We didn't talk about that. The Levite should have at least known that idolatry was wrong.
That's what threw me. This is a Levite.
This is a Levite who is
consenting to being in this man's house.
A consecrated priest in a foreign man's house who has idols, but he don't say nothing.
Consecrated by this man.
By the man.
Yeah, not by the Most High.
Not by the Most High.
Or the prophet of the Most High ain't come anoint him and say, look, I need you to make this move,
Right.
which is usually how he do it. He sends one of his prophets to anoint somebody, like he did with Jehu.
Right.
And said, you're going to be the next king.
So, that's interesting. So when he did that, he's living with him, and then they talk about that. So pretty much that's chapter 17. Chapter 17 is not too short; it's only 13 verses. But then it goes to talk about the Danites, who were they were a part of the tribes of Israel, and they had not yet received their inheritance from the Most High. So they got a little bit restless, and they said, you know what, we ain't got no inheritance yet. Let's go out and get one. And so when they sent 5 of the strongest men of valor out of the tribe of Dan to go find, you know, a spot for the whole clan to come, you know, sit down and settle in. And as the 5 spies went out, they came upon Micah's crib and the Levite, and they asked him, he's like, man, what you doing here? Why you up here? You a Levite. You ain't even supposed to be up here. He told him what he was doing there, and they were like, what did they say?
They asked him counsel. They asked him to look to the Most High for him.
That's right. So so this is the second group of Israelites who completely forego the fact that there are idols around. This man is a priest at some strange man's house who he consecrated, and they said, "Oh, you a Levite? Bet. Ask God where he gonna put us." You know what I'm saying? And after they received a good word from him, they went out to Laish, or Laish, however you say it. It's Laish, and they came upon the people who were chilling, wasn't doing nothing wrong.
They dwelled careless.
Yeah.
They dwelt without a care. After the manner of the Zidonians. After the manner
of
the
Zidonians. Right. So these people, did they have a name? Did those people specifically have a name?
They just dwelt after the manner of the Zidonians.
The manner of the Sidonians. But the thing is, they had no connection with the Sidonians. They just mimicked the way they lived. You know,
there was no magistrate in the land.
Right. So there was no government.
Yeah, they didn't have. They said that there was no magistrate in the land that might put them to shame in anything, and they were far from the Zidonians and had no business with any man. They were just
they did what they wanted in a great land, in a great place, a rich land, and they weren't threatening nobody, but they didn't have any connections. They weren't even worried about defending themselves. They were doing what they wanted. And the 5 spies from Dan noticed this, took the report back, told the rest of the brothers, we need to roll right now, roll down on these dudes and take their land. And we ain't got to worry about nothing once we do it, because they ain't got no backup. We can go down there and stomp them out and take what they got. And when they did this, on the way through, they stopped back at Micah's crib, where the Levite was, and they went in there, they took the idols, they took the silver, they took the ephod, and they took the priest, which was the Levite. And they said, look, instead of being a priest here for this one man, why don't you come and you be our priest? You know what I'm saying? We'll bring all the idols and everything with us. You be our priest. So instead of being a priest over one, you'll be a priest over many. And the Levite, was enticed by that idea. He was like, all right, bet. He rolled, and he went with them and did it. And they went down. They rolled over the people who were down there in Laish, and they took over. And that was pretty much the end of that story, because later on it goes into the Levite's concubine. But that's more about that particular Levite. But what I saw was there was absolutely no check and balance for the idolatry that was just accepted, because Micah, who possibly could have been given a pass, because it does not say that Micah was an Israelite. He was just from the mountains of Ephraim. You know what I'm saying? But hold on, I can't even verily say that, because it says that his mother dedicated the silver to the Most High, so they at least knew about the Most High God.
Said the Lord.
Yeah. So she at least knew about him. So I mean, but what I see is acceptable. It's accepted idolatry then.
Yeah.
It's accepted idolatry, because it passed from one house to another, and everybody involved knows about the Most High God, but they're still, indulging.
That's what was
in
going
idolatry.
on in the camp. That's what was going on in the camp of Israel. That was the norm, just like now. Ain't nobody pointing out the fact that what we doing and saying is wrong, because it's accepted amongst everybody. Ain't nobody point out the fact that does not mean what you think it means. That word doesn't mean what you think it means.
We're not supposed to have idols.
We ain't supposed to have no idols, no graven images, nothing. But ain't nobody pointed out. You got some Danites that come through. They see this a Levite in this man's house. They asked him, he said, verse 14, then answered the 5 men that went to spy out the country of Laish, and said unto their brethren, do you know that there is in these houses an ephod, a teraphim, and a graven image, and a molten image? Now therefore consider what you have to do. So you talking about some dudes that know what's up.
Yeah.
These jokers is they got these idols, man. They got these graven images. What are we supposed to do about this?
Yeah.
Take thought now. What is our job?
Right.
They said, and they turned thitherward and came to the house of the young man, the Levite, even to the house of Micah, and saluted him. And the 600 men appointed with their weapons of war, which were of the children of Dan, stood by the entering of the gate. Man, ain't nobody leaving. Ain't nobody coming in until we handle this business.
Yeah.
They got some stuff in there that we need to get.
Yeah.
And the 5 men that went to spy out the land came up thither and took the graven image and the ephod and the teraphim and the molten image. And the priest stood in the entering of the gate with the 600 men that were appointed with the weapons of war. And these went into Micah's house and fetched the carved image, the ephod, and the teraphim and the molten image. Then said the priest unto them, what do ye? Like, why y'all doing this?
Yeah.
And they said unto him, hold thy peace, lay thy hand upon thy mouth. Man, shut up. This ain't got nothing to do with you.
Right.
He said, put thy hand upon thy mouth and go with us and be to us a father and a priest. Is it better for thee to be a priest unto the house of one man, or that thou be a priest unto a tribe and a family in Israel? So people still pride themselves on being affiliated with Israel and being a part of the tribe, but they were still living foul about the land. They going around stealing land at the Most High. I ain't necessarily tell them go get. They had yet to be given their portion.
Right.
He hadn't appointed them their land yet.
Right.
Dan was just wandering around, and they wasn't necessarily causing trouble, but at the same time, they like, man, and it tell you at the back end how that's what confused me. But he's like, man, the priest's heart was glad, and he took the ephod, the priest took the ephod, the teraphim, and the graven image, and went into the midst of the people.
It's the ephod.
The ephod.
Right.
So they turned and departed and put the little ones and the cattle and the carriages before them. Put the kids up front. You know what I'm saying? And this is what tripped me out. And when they were a good way off from the house of Micah, the men that were in the house near Micah's house were gathered together and overtook the children of Dan. Reading that like that, you would think they ran down on them and roughed them up.
Right.
But
they just came up behind them.
Overtook H1692. It meant they like cleaved to them. They followed them. They stuck with them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They have to say, man, y'all got the idols. We need to be with y'all. Y'all took our idols. We need something to worship.
Right.
Since we need to worship something, so we're going to follow our idols. He said, and they cried unto the children of Dan, and they turned their faces and said unto Micah, what aileth thee, that thou comest with such a company? And he said, ye have taken away my gods, which I made, and the priest, and ye are gone away. And what have I more? And what is this that ye saying to me? What aileth thee? Like, man, you done took everything I got.
How you gonna ask me what's
wrong? You gonna ask me what's wrong? You done came and took my priests. You done took my gods. You done took my images. I have nothing. They literally know he was still alive and he had the opportunity to turn to the Most High.
Right.
We look at stuff so man, it's like, you know what I'm saying? You lose your job. You know what I'm saying? Your car get repossessed. You know, your student loans piling up. You know, all these things that you thought so highly of, you know, your education, your house, your transportation. But you ain't looking at it like, maybe it's a blessing that the Most High is taking this stuff so that he can get my attention.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He like, man, I ain't got nothing. You took all my...
Yeah.
And the children of Dan said unto him, let not thy voice be... Listen to what he said to him. You crying about this. You beefing because we took what you ain't needing your possession anyway. Let not thy voice be heard among us, lest angry fellows run upon thee, and thou lose thy life with the lives of thy household. So there was some jokers that rode with Dan, zealous for the Most High. Mm-hmm. They may not have known what the move was because they left 600 men out there. Mm-hmm. Those 600 men may not have known necessarily they was in there stealing images and idols and ephods and teraphims. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, 26.
It said, then the children of Dan went their way. And when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back to his house. Couldn't do nothing with them. And that's when, from there, they settled in Laish. Yeah, that's right. And so they took the things, I'm reading in verse 27 of chapter 18. So they took the things Micah had made and the priests who had belonged to him and went to Laish to a people quiet and secure, and they struck them with the edge of the sword and burned the city with fire. There was no deliverer because it was far from Sidon, and they had no ties with anyone. It was in the valley which belongs to Beth Rehob. So they rebuilt the city and dwelt there. So after they burned it, kicked everybody out, they rebuilt the joint and stayed there. And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan their father, who was born to Israel. However, the name of the city formerly was Laish. Okay. Then the children of Dan set up for themselves the carved image, and Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land. So they set up for themselves Micah's carved image, which he made all the time that the house of God was in Shiloh. So Jonathan, the son of Gershom, and the son of Manasseh, and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan. That might have been the name of the Levite.
Shiloh gets mentioned a lot in the coming chapters. If I'm not mistaken, when my man Josiah came on the scene,
it's the house of God.
You know what I'm saying? But they set up graven images in the house of God. These are Israelites.
Right. That stuff went unchecked. I mean, you could see how, the progression of it. I mean, if it was accepted, you got Dan rolling through on the strength of the Most High to take over land. They get the images, they keep them. You know what I'm saying?
This stuff is being documented, I believe, so we can have a reference as to how we got to where we're at.
Right.
A lot of stuff has been done unchecked. Ain't nobody saying nothing about the fact that we keep bringing all these graven images into the house of the Most High and setting them up and worshiping as if it's cool, because he ain't saying nothing. He ain't say nothing.
Yeah.
The Most High ain't say nothing in this chapter.
No, he didn't.
He ain't say nothing, but he told somebody, hey, document that. So them fools later on to know what these jokers was doing. And the fact that I'm allowing these things so they can see. So they can see.
It'll be a lesson.
Man, because you see, not too long, ain't too far, that stuff gets removed aggressively.
Yeah.
Said,
until they got taken over. That's what it said. They settled in layups until they went into captivity.
So the result of this jeffing and this all the stuff that the Most High said, not to do in Exodus, not to do in Deuteronomy, not to do in Numbers, don't make no images. He tried to give them a chance. They ain't had no king. They had judges. Every now and then somebody would let them know, look, man, we wrong. We wrong. This is not what the Most High would have us to do. This is not what Yahweh would have us do. Everybody did their own thing. They did whatever seemed right in their eyes. You running out on the peaceful people. Yeah, they might be living carefree. They might have been, you know what I'm saying, swingers or whatever. They ain't killing nobody. They ain't robbing. They ain't stealing. They ain't hurting nobody. They doing them. They're like, nah, I like that land. And they probably kept their women. You know what I'm saying? But did the Most High tell them to go down on that land and take it?
They got restless.
They wanted what they wanted. Something.
They wanted what they wanted.
That brought about maybe not that particular incident,
right?
But it aided in the ultimate captivity. Now we're in captivity. We're coming out of captivity, mental captivity. You know what I'm saying? Spiritual captivity, physical captivity. You know what I'm saying? We ain't slaves like we used to be. Mm-hmm. You slaves in your head. You're trapped in your mind. If you feel like you have to work for somebody else, then you're still a slave in your mind. You can go ahead and pick up trash for a living and work for yourself. Mm-hmm. You may not make $80, $90, $100,000 a year, but you working. You don't have to go to work for somebody else. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's that slave mentality. You got to do what master say. Somebody got to write my check. Why can't you sign your own ticket? I got a checkbook in the truck. You know what I'm saying? I can write a check to myself. Ain't no money in the bank. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna get nothing. Right. But you know what I'm saying? You want to be able to. And I ain't saying nothing wrong with working for somebody else. I'm not saying that. But that's that mentality that we've been given. I was watching this video. Somebody came and told the slaves, they like, look, the dude, his job was to get these slaves to act right. So what he tell them is, man, look, y'all all free now. Y'all ain't slaves no more. You know what I'm saying? But if you leave this plantation, somebody else may take you and enslave you. So your best bet is to stay here. But y'all are now part owners in this plantation. So you work for yourselves. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be given a portion of what it is you make. But since y'all don't know anything about running a plantation, then Mr. Such is going to stay in control. One dude stood up. That don't make sense. Basically, everybody else was like, yeah, we free now. But we still going to work every day. Get up, and if they don't do what they told you, they got beat and punched and all this other stuff. So he gave him an appearance of choice. Brought in a master's Brought in a master's brother or cousin, one of them. He was like, listen, every 3 months we're gonna have an election, and y'all can choose which one of these guys y'all want to work for the next 3 months. If you don't like Mr. John, then you can choose Mr. Bill. If you don't like Mr. Bill, then you can choose Mr. John. But either way, they slaves still playing with their mind. Gave them an illusion of choice. Young boy spoke up again. Man, regardless which one we choose, we still slaves. We ain't keeping nothing. They beat him again. But some of the people was happy with the fact that they were given a choice to who they wanted to be a slave to, with the illusion of freedom. So much to the point that while they was amongst themselves doing whatever, you know, talking about Mr. John, Mr. Bill, they ain't realize the boy bled to death. The only one that was speaking up on behalf of these slaves for real, they stood there content with just having a choice of who they wanted to be a slave to. You want to be a slave to Mr. John and Mr. Bill. You know what I'm saying? At least we get a little bit of the cotton that we pick. We get a little bit. At least we getting fed. At least we ain't getting beat. At least we ain't a slave over there on Mr. Such and Such plantation. But you're still a slave. There was an illusion of freedom. There was never really any real freedom, and that went into a whole bunch of another spill.
But that's interesting, dude.
That's the American dream. Go get your house. Go get your car. Get that white picket fence. You know what eminent domain is? Just let the government want it. They come in and get it. You can either willingly sell it or they're gonna take it. It ain't really the same thing, but it's an illusion. It's an appearance of it's yours. Like I own this. I own this land. This is my land. I pay taxes on this land. You're leasing it. You're renting it, even if it was inherited, and it's called eminent domain. This domain is eminently the government's. It's theirs. Now they ain't gonna take everybody's, but if they want yours, they coming to get yours. It's been that way since the beginning, man. And it's gonna continue.
The illusion of freedom.
It's an illusion of freedom. If any man be in Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, he's a new creature. You know what I'm saying? If you want real freedom, the truth is what's gonna set you free.
Amen to that.
If you don't have a desire, if you cool with tradition, if you cool with the way things are, if you cool with, you know, going to church every Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever you go to church, whatever, don't make a difference. If you cool with that and you think everything's okay, you're under the strong delusion. You under the physically powerful, morally vigorous, deeply rooted false idea or theory such as a strong, solid, stable, or settled belief held persistently and abnormally, accepted as truth, especially by faith or authority rather than from personal knowledge, but is in fact a falsehood, intended by the Most High to mislead by speech or false representation, an untruth something that is stated contrary to fact. A falsehood is the utterance of something known to be untrue. It's a lie, a fabrication, which is an invention, an equivocation, which is the deliberate concealing of truth behind words capable of a double interpretation. It's a mendacity or a habitual shameless line. It shows or gives evidence to the falseness and the very nature of the person practicing it. That's what the Most High allowed to come upon those who did not have a love for truth. You will receive a physically, morally, vigorously, powerful, deeply rooted false idea or theory accepted as truth. But it's up to you to dig. It's up to you to ask. That's why I asked the Most High, man, remove the strong delusion. If he don't remove it, it's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. You're not going to figure it out if he don't remove what he allowed to happen. Can't nobody do it.
That has to be included in the prayer constantly.
It has to be.
It has to be.
But you got to recognize that that's the case first. It's in Scripture.
You got to recognize
2 Thessalonians 2:11.
What's that start with? Something ain't right.
Something ain't right. This stuff, you supposed somebody. I wonder how many pastors don't understand this, that there is a strong delusion at work, and it's spiritual.
They think they know what it is.
They're rich. They don't need anything. That's the mindset.
Right.
We don't, that ain't got nothing to do with us. We got everything we need right here. Everything we need is right in this book right here. It's a part of it. It's a part of it. This is what I opened up to. I was going to go to Malachi, but it's funny. The Father loved the Son. This is John chapter 3, verse 35 and 36. The Father loved the Son and hath given all things into his hand. He that believeth on the Son hath everlasting life. And he that believeth not on the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abideth on him. And that's not to scare you, but it is to open your eyes up. He ain't got but one son. The beast got an image too. The Most High Son was made in his image. He is his ekon. He's his expressed image. The beast got an image too. It's time to figure out the difference between the two. That's where I'm at moving forward in 2019. Now you gotta know who the beast is. You gotta know what that image is. You gotta know what that mark is. You gotta know what that name is.
Beast, image, mark, name.
If you're seeking, add that to your bucket list of things to figure out. That's all I got, bro.
That's what's up. Next week we should have Darian and Keelan up in here as guests to the studio. Look forward to that discussion, and also stay tuned for when we announce when we're gonna be breaking apart more in-depth look at the Three Angels message, man, because that's definitely important. We really should do that. With that, man, we can close out with a word of prayer if you're ready.
All right. Bow your head. Most High Hashem, thank you for understanding. Thank you for your truth. Thank you for allowing this information to be hidden away until a time such as this, because had it stayed in circulation, it too might have actually been tainted. And you hid it for a reason. Thank you for giving us the ability to dig and a desire to dig and not caring about getting dirty in the process in order to find this information. Continue to be with Brad's family, those in Alabama as well. Be with his co-workers that you put in his path, that you wanted to minister to. Be with this Voxwave family. Be with our engineers, Ron and Reg, and the other shows that come on this broadcast. Be with our elderly, the seasoned vets who could very well be ending the end of their time here on this battlefield. They done held up their bloodstained banner, and I recognize that there's a time. There's a season for everything. Time to live and a time to die. Thank you for that understanding, because it makes it a little easier to deal with. Be with my health. Forgive me for trying to kill myself with all the dumb stuff that I continue to do. Remove this strong delusion that you allow to come upon all the world, especially those who don't have a love for the truth. Increase a love for the truth. Maybe that's what the the serum is for the strong delusion, and increase love for the truth, the antidote for the strong delusion. Increase our desire to know exactly what truth is. Increase our desire to want your ruach to work in our lives in a manner that's different than what we used to. Thank you in advance for what you're gonna do for E on Friday. I'm asking that you keep his spirits up, keep his hopes up, clear his mind of all nonsense, or whatever the enemy is trying to discourage him or make him doubt with. Be with our brothers, hood proud, as well as our blood brothers, all of our family, you know, my sisters, Brad's sister. Continue to prepare us for what it is that's before us. You know, help us to be more of a mind to teach as opposed to telling. Forgive us for our many iniquities and anything that might have been overlooked. Thank you in advance for all the blessings that you have prepared that we haven't even reached out for or don't even know are coming. Financial, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all the blessings that you're waiting to give us, as that you allow us and prep us to be ready to receive them. Save us in your kingdom when you return. In your son, Yahweh's name, amen.
Amen, amen. We'll be right back with you next Sunday, 6 to 8 p.m. Until then, may Yah bless and keep you through the week.
Seek truth.
What you say?
It's the RJB.
Every time they see us come, watch them demons shake.
Hey man, here you come with all that stuff, man. Come on, let's go, man.
Life and death is in your tongue, so watch what you say.
Hey, real talk, what you say around here too, man? Real
Cause
talk.
names hold weight. If you don't know about Father Rahai, cause names hold weight. And you don't know about his son Yeshai, cause names hold weight. Receive the gift of Ruach Hadah, cause names hold weight. Forever screaming, Kwam Yasharah, cause names hold weight.
You ain't gotta tell me names whole way. I'm calling a higher. Calling them out, kicking them tables over, just like Yeshaya. Digital down.